Hey everyone, welcome back to another video of our series of Godot Godot 3.1 tutorials. Okay, so in the first video that was actually 1 hour, it was really big actually, but I tried so much to explain as much as I can, like the pretty basics of just starting the game development from the start. Like I I assume that you don't have any actual programming knowledge or any games knowledge, okay? Game industry knowledge, of course. So now let's just get a quick review of what we actually covered the last episode, okay? In the introduction episode, yeah. And if you didn't watch it, then make sure to watch it, actually, because it's really like, I'm not like telling you that it's not actually long and maybe even it's boring, but really it has a lot to give. Like there's a lot of info right there. So let's just start our second tutorial here, okay? So what we covered the last episode, first of all, is variables. So private variables, okay, without the export, and public variables with the export keyword and some basic data types, okay, because that's not all the data types that I covered there. It's not all. There's a lot to give, like, and to study, but that was some basics of them, okay? And basically data types that we covered is integer, float, and integer, float, and string, okay, and bool, of course. That's where I covered the last episode of data types, and of course comments that I'm writing in now. And what else? Basic events, or you can tell functions. I covered the process function, first of all the ready function, okay, or the ready event, you can tell, and process. And just for a quick review, ready, everything, like every code you put on the ready function, it runs when the game is ready, or when the node that it's attached into the script and its childs too are ready, okay, and loaded, and everything's set up, and like it's ready for getting your command, okay, or getting your code or whatever, okay. And the process, I talked about FPS, the concepts of FPS. Well, basically update is just running every frame, okay, like 60 frames per second or 60 times per second. Concepts of FPS, delta, and motion. Well, frames motion, okay. It's the same as FPS, okay. I just told you that to make a video or a game looks like it's in motion, we're just getting a lot of frames, or showing a lot of frames or a lot of images in 1 second, for example 60 images per second, and well, some kind of a fixed FPS, but it's actually fluctuating a little bit, okay. and that's why we have the delta variables. So that's just a quick review of what we told the last episode, okay? And I think, and well, of course, the if statement, okay, which is a condition checked, and we looked at some operators, or actually comparison operators. There's this 2 equals and greater than or less, greater than or equal, less than or equal, okay? And we even checked how to set or actually edit variables in runtime, okay? Edit variables and increment them, and of course editing variables by the assignment operator, which is the equal sign, and incrementing using the plus equal, minus equal. Well, I didn't actually cover that once. Well, we're going to cover it right now, okay? So there's plus equal, minus equal, and times equal, comma, divided by equal, okay? Great. That's the increment, like incrementing, or you can tell, not really sure what they call it, but it's actually just the same kind of in the logic. It just changing the operator, okay? So I'm not going to cover all this up right now, unless if I will like need them, okay? So that's what I actually covered, at least I think. And of course I covered how to create some stuff, but anyway. So now what? So today, so now let's just actually remove all this stuff, okay? We don't need it. Don't remove extends kinematic body 2D, because it's really needed, like it's, I'm just gonna do this last episode, okay? Let's just do this like that, just to keep it simple, looking good, okay? And now in this episode, or actually today, well now, anyway, so we're going to look at input, okay? How to get input from the player. And it's going to be fun, at least for me, but it's really fun, okay? Because we're not going to actually do that boring stuff like math and freaking logic. We're going to interact with the player input. I mean, for example, when the player presses a key or some kind of thing. And I think just that. And maybe if we have time, we're going to cover move and slide. Well, move and slide function. Move and slide function, which is a part of the kinematic body 2D, okay? Which is simply just moving the objects. So we're going to move the object. But before all this too, I forgot to mention some new data types, which is vector 2. This data type, it's really important for us to go actually to this stuff. So yeah, and it's really important for the game development. So yeah. Okay, good. Now if we actually ended this, we can add more stuff. So as you see, this is comments, and as you know, or as I told you the last episode, comments don't get executed. They are just there, just quick notes or notes or whatever you want to call it. For the PC, from the view of the PC, you just ignore it. Just like it's not there, so it doesn't exist because it's not part of its logic. Okay, great. Just a good way to document your or explain your code. So yeah, let's get going into practice. Okay, so I'm just going to put my usual function ready so I can work around with this. Okay, so first of all, we're going to cover vector2. So first of all, I'm going to show you how you can make a vector2 variable. Okay, so we're going to make it here variable. So I'm going to make this private. So well, it's not actually private, but well, you can't actually edit it from or see it in the editor. Okay, but if you really want to, then you can just add export and add the type of it, which is, well, we're going to actually look at it. Okay, great. Well, I'm going to have a vector2. I'm going to call it motion, for example. Okay, equal to vector2. So as you see, there's vector2 and vector3, and just a quick note that vector3 it's for 3D, and vector2 it's for 2D. So as we're working on 2D right now, so we're just going to use vector2 for now. Okay, good. Now you just place that vector2 just like that, and you open the parentheses and close it. Okay, and you get inside. Okay, so as the parent function, you pass into it a parameter. Okay, and that parameter is a string. So yeah, that's it. But let's just place a pass right here so it doesn't error. Okay, and so in vector2, you actually doesn't pass a string or some kind of thing. You pass two variables or two parameters, which is x and y, or you can tell just two values. Okay, so vector2 essentially just stores a position, or actually a pair of two elements or two numbers, which can represent position, size, scale, or whatever you want it to do. Essentially, it's well, it's just like a vector in math or coordinate system, Cartesian coordinate system, stuff like that. So yeah, so just pass in like that. Okay, so 10, 20. Okay, well, we can actually represent this vector if you want to, because vectors, well, you can think of it as a well, I'm going to go back, like I'm just going to find the image that represent these vectors, and I'm going to get back just to make sure that I'm clear in what I'm saying. Okay, so yeah, let me see. So here I found some images in Google around this. Okay, and it's actually this images from the documentation of Google, of Godot actually, and this is a good place to actually look at how you can see the documentation of Roblox. Actually not Roblox, Godot. Okay, so well, there's two things you can do. The first, if you are offline and you don't have an internet connection and you just don't want to know a basic stuff around something, you just do help and search help. And for our case, we want to search for vector2. Okay, so there we go, vector2, it's a class. Okay, I'm going to open it, and here we go. We're just going to give you a brief description. Vector used for 2D math, as you see, and properties. So as you see, the properties is just an X and a Y. The type of it's float, and as we told you, that float is just a number with decimal place. Okay, and as you see, this is the constructor to make vector 2, or just how you create it. So you just do that, vector 2, and you pass in the X and the Y. There's apps, angle 2, so all that freaking functions here. We're not going to actually get into them all right now. And there's some constants. I'm going to actually cover this constant later. Like, they are important too. And there's class description, 2-element structure that can be used to represent position in 2D space or any other pair of numeric values. Okay, that's great. And here the property descriptions, the vector X component, also accessible by using the index position 0. Okay, and here functions and their descriptions. And you can see also, for example, let's get a function here, for example this, or for example this. Okay, so it returns a vector 2 and it gets two parameters, okay, the X and the Y, which the type of it's float and float. Let's get another function and let's just see how this stuff are structured. So yeah, for example here, distance squared 2, you just get a float, like it returns actually a float, the function returns the float, and you should give it a vector 2 parameter, which is 2, the type of it vector 2, okay, which do something, okay. And this is actually its description. For now, I just showed you a quick overview about the inside, like search help or documentation of Godot when you're offline, but there is a better documentation online actually. So let's go with all here, and there we go, we have vector math. That's what we want. So Godot actually made for us a complete page for what is vectors and stuff, and it's algebra, and that's the coordinate system 2D. And okay, so we're interested in here. Okay, so vector is essentially kind of like, it's just a pair of values. Okay, just to be clear, vector is just a pair of values which has X and Y. Okay, two values, two float values. Okay, and as I told you in the first video, there's a coordinate system. Okay, the Y is going down and the X is going right. Okay, great. Now, for example, here we have a vector. Okay, we can make this vector like that. Okay, let's do it. So we have 4 entry. So here what I did is I made the same vector that I see here. Okay, it's 4 entry. Great. So in this case it's called M. So let's actually call it M. It's okay, just for the sake of example. Okay, and well, there's an angle. We're not interested at the angle right now. Okay, and so this is the origin 0 0. This is 4 3. So how we represented it? Pretty simple. So we're getting the X number. So here the X number is 4. So let's go. This is the 1. This is 2. This is 3, and this is 4. Okay. So actually this is 1 2 0 1 2 3 4, and we're getting down. Okay, we're projecting a line down. Okay. So here we go. We put it the line, and then let's go to the y-axis. Okay, so there's 3 0 1 2 3, and let's project another line. Okay, so there's 2 lines right now. The intersection point of these 2 lines is the head or the other point of the vector, like from the origin to that point that we just found by the intersection of the x-axis and the y-axis, or the vertical axis and the horizontal axis. Okay, great. I hope you can get it. Okay, so just a basic function that you can do with vectors is basically represents positions, represent scale, and as I told you, and so on. So what if we want to get the length of this vector that are represented actually by these two numbers 4 and 3? Okay, we want to get the length of it, or its distance. Pretty simple. We're just going to get our vector, which is actually stored here in a variable called m, point, and as you see, there's all the functions that you can do. Okay, so what I'm interested right now in is length. So if you did m.length, let's run, let's see that. So there's nothing actually. Great. So it actually did it. It actually calculated the length, but you didn't given the length to a print function so you can output it. So if you want to see the result of this function, we can do print and m, which is the vector that we created here, dot length. So we're getting the length or the distance of this vector. Okay, so if we play it right now, so it's 5. Okay, so here, so this is represent a distance of 5. Okay, this vector's length is 5. So we can actually calculate this using a vector formula, which I'm not going actually to cover this video. It's out of the scope of this tutorial, please. And it doesn't really matter like the origin, but in Godot you just get it from the origin, like you don't have some kind of thing to do with it. So as you see, this vector is the same as this vector because it's 4 and 3, 4, 3. Okay, great. Now what do we need that vectors for? First of all, let's see vector, how we can add two vectors together. Okay, so we have this vector. Let's see what this vector is. So this vector is 1, 2, 3 and 1. So 3x and 1y. Let's create it. So m1, I'm just gonna call my variable, my first vector m1, and as you see, it's 3, 1, 3, 1. So what I'm doing, I'm just getting this graphical representation or visual representation into actual values or code. So yeah, and I'm going to create this vector too, that vector here. So 1, 2, as you see, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 2 in the x and 5 down. So 2 right and 5 down. Okay. Okay. 2 right and 5 down. Great. Now, what if we want to add these vectors together? Okay. So if we added these vectors together, graphically, it's going to be this vector, right? As you see. So this vector equals this vector plus this vector equals to this vector. Okay. And it's essentially the same if we did the inverse, like just like, for example, 3 plus 1 it's 4, and 1 plus 3 it's 4 again. So just like the same, because it's plus, it doesn't really respect the order of the operands. Okay, so how we can add these vectors together? Let's do var m3. Okay, so we're getting the m1 plus m2. So we're getting the first vector, which is this graphically, plus this second vector, which is this graphically. Okay, and we're adding them together to get another vector, which is the total of these vectors, and graphically is this line. Okay, great. Now that we have that one, okay, let's try to actually print that vector here, which is called M3, which is the total of these two vectors that we created. Okay, so as you see, a pair of numbers 5 and 6. So as you see, 5, 6. And if we actually wanted to calculate this ourselves graphically on the grid, so as you see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so as you see, 5, and we're getting down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So as you see, 5, 6. Great. Okay, so this is essentially how we got it. And basically what we've done in the math behind is that we're getting, let's get here, let me just close this game. Okay, so we're getting the x-axis of the first vector, adding it into the x-axis of the second vector. Okay, so 3 plus 2, which given us 5, as you see, or actually we can see even here in the output, and the sum of the y-axis. Okay, 1 plus 5 equal to 6, and you can't, like, you can actually add even another vector, for example vector 2, 100, for example, and we can add it to, or even subtract it, and it's actually the same principle, or just like that, or just like that, any actual operator. And so yeah, you should actually know vector math, but it's okay if you don't know that. And if you don't understand what I'm saying here, don't worry, when we're actually coming to practice, you will understand better what's going on here. Okay, so I'm just kind of trying to explain the theory around vector 2 at least. So if you didn't understand, just stick that you can like vector 2 is just a pair of numbers, okay, that you can add them together and do every math operation that you want, and get its length, get its direction, which I'm going to tell you right now. But actually we don't really need that right now. Okay, so let's begin going into the input. Okay, so actually here I'm going to create a private variable called motion. Okay, vector 2. So now what we're actually going to try is moving this player that we have here by our keys or our keyboard. Okay, so var motion equal to vector 2 0, 0, or you can just leave it empty and it's going to be 0, 0. Okay, alright, so that we have that, we can do func ready, or actually we don't really need it. Okay, func update, or not actually update, but process. Great. Now we're inside the process function, which runs every frame per second. So what do we want? So I'm going to tell it the algorithm here. Okay, so every frame per second, or every frame the game runs, we're going to check if the player is clicking a key. So if he's pressing the up key or W key, then we're going to tell the player to go up. Okay, if down, then down, if right, then right, if left, then left. Okay, so how we can do that? we can do an if. Okay, if, well, a condition, if input. Okay, so this is just an object, another object. But before actually going into this, let's show you something. So you go to the projects, okay, project settings, input map. Okay, so we're inside here in the input map. Okay, great. So we have this stuff here. We're not going to it. We're going to make, so this just actions. It's called actions. Well, every action, it has some bindings, some buttons bindings. So here we're going to make ours. So I'm just going to make a action called move up. Okay, add, move down, add, move right, add, move left, and add it. Okay, so I have my 4 actions here, but it doesn't map into any key. Okay, so to add a key, we should click the add button. Okay, so we have key, joy button, joy axis, and mouse button. So we want key, and since it's move up, well, I'm going to press the key, the up key. Okay, oh great. Now the same thing for the others, down, and key right. Okay, and key left. Okay, great, we're doing a good job here. Okay, let's close it. And now we can actually access the actions using if input dot is action pressed, and you specify what action. Okay, so don't be afraid actually of the syntax right now. Don't worry, it's pretty simple. I'm going to explain for you everything. Okay, and you give it the name of that action. For example, here let's do move up first. Okay, awesome. Now if input dot is action pressed move up, then we want to print yo pressed up key. Okay, now let's see what we're gonna have in the output. Okay, so there's nothing, but when I press or get the key down, which is called the up key, as you see, you press the up key. Now I released it. Now I pressed again. Now release. So as you see, it's this condition going to met every frame I'm clicking or I'm pressing the up key. Okay, that's it. So here what you're actually going to do, first of all, I'm going to reset this motion to vector 2. Okay, 0, 0. Okay, I'm going to tell you why in a second. Okay, and here I'm going to do motion dot. So since it's up, I want to move my player up. So I'm going to increase or actually decrease the y-axis in for moving my player up. Okay, so motion dot y minus equal 1, and I'm just going to copy this 2 lines 4 times. Okay, because I have 4 keys: move up, move down, move right, and move left. Okay, as we created there. And please make sure to have the key, like this, for example, this capital and this capital, because it's case sensitive as you type it in the project input map. Okay, as it is. So yeah, because move up with capital M, it's not move up with a like a little key. Okay, so yeah, that's it. And let's just here edit the math. So if it's moved down, then we want to increase in the y-axis of the motion. Okay, if it's moved right, then we want to increase the x-axis. Okay, dot x plus equal 1. And here move left, we want just to change the axis to x. And so in order to move left, we're going to decrease from the x-axis. Great. So that we set up with this stuff. Let's print our motion, okay, and see our motion vectors and see how it is. Okay, great. Now let's get it. I'm just going to resize this so you can see what's going on there. So as you see, it's actually printing our vector, our motion vector, and as you see, it's 0, 0. Okay, so now I'm going to click the up key. Okay, I'm going to hold it down. Okay, and as you see, -1 in the y-axis. Now I'm going to release the up key, as you see, and now I'm going to hold down the down key, and I'm going to release. I'm going to hold down the right key, and I'm going to release. I'm going to hold down the left key, and I'm going to release. And as you see, it's working well. Now I'm just going to click different keys, and as you see, it's just changing depending on the keys. And if I click it to, for example, right and left, it's going to cancel each other. Okay, it's going to be 0 because 1 minus 1 is equal to 0, because like I'm pressing the keys, the opposite keys, like in the same time with the other key. Okay, great. Now how we can apply and move our player instead of actually just printing the vector. Okay, so first of all, let me so here we go. I'm going down. So as you see here, well, here, okay, so we have positive. Okay, so this is the positive. So this is the positive vector is the point where this actual thing is. Okay, this ship, this is the position 2, the position of this second ship. Okay, equal to pose. So the initial pose or the first position, and is this vector or this point on the grid, plus the vector velocity or this vector. Okay, which going to end here, and this is how we actually move something. Okay, but if you can't tell, if we moved every frame like a lot by a big quantity, the ship is going to look really fast and like it's not moving, just teleporting, and we don't want that. So actually we're just going every frame to add a pixel or like a set of pixels. Okay, so we can simulate actually motion and speed. Okay, so actually let's make a variable called speed here. I'm going to set it equal to 50, or well, we don't really need it right now. Let me just complete my thing right now. So instead of print motion, by the way, or right, not right now. So let's get that print motion down, and let's do move and slide. So this move and slide is part of this kinematic body 2D type. Okay, because if you can remember, our player node, it's a kinematic body 2D, and kinematic body 2Ds have a function called move and slide, and if we hold down control and click on the move and slide, we can see a documentation, offline documentation of it. So we're going to need to give it a linear velocity, which is our vector 2, which is the motion that we want to apply, and the floor normal. In our case, it's a tilt down, so we don't really need a floor normal. Okay, so I'm just going to set a linear velocity here. Okay, move and slide by motion. Great. Now we did move and slide and pass it our vector here. That's called motion. Okay, so let's try to play the scene here. And I'm going to hold down the keys. So I'm actually holding down the keys, but nothing happens. Well, we can't tell that nothing happens. If you see closely, let me get a nap really quick and get back to you. Alright, so I got my little app here, okay? So this app going to zoom in so we can see some pixels, okay? Great. Now let's see closely. If I pressed the keys, so we're actually going too freaking slow. Like we're going 1 pixel or 2 every second. And that's really not a lot that we can actually even see through the loop, really. So anyway, without this stuff, let's actually, and so here how we can actually add speed. I'm going to make a variable called speed, which is going to hold our speed equal to, for example here, 500. Okay, great. Now motion, I'm going to multiply it by 500. Okay, or actually not 500, well, speed. Great. Now let's run this. And as you see, I'm clicking the keys. But we have some bugs here, okay? The first bug, if you look at it, now if I'm going like in a straight line, I'm going in a specific speed, okay? But if I've gone or I traveled in a diagonal line, then I'm going too fast. And so why? Because the length of that vector, of that motion vector, like, are not normalized. Okay, so if we normalized it, then it should be good. So what it's actually normalizing is just making any vector with a length of 1 but keeping the direction. Okay, so we're not going to change the direction, just the length to 1. Okay, because when we click 2 keys once, or actually 2 keys from different axes, then we're actually going in that speed times 2. Okay, and that's why. Alright, that we know that, let's see how we can actually normalize a vector. So we have, this is our vector, motion. So we can here come and do motion equal to motion dot normalize. Okay, that's it, dot normalize. Now we can just click the play scene, because we're getting our motion vector and setting it into the normalized version of our motion vector. Okay, which is going to normalize. Well, when normalizing it, it's just going to make sure that its length is 1, not 2 or some kind of thing, so we can keep a steady speed. Great. So now we actually fixed our problem here. So we're going in a constant speed, whatever direction we're going in. And well, there's a lot of types of movements, but this type of movement, it's called 8 directions movement. Okay, because you can go this direction, 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 and this direction. Okay, so 8, well, 4 straight, and another 4 for diagonal lines, and well, it is 8. And so yeah, that was it. Really. So yeah, as you see, we successfully made our first tiny player just moving around, lonely, and just great. So what we actually learned: input and move and slide function, and some vector too. Okay, so don't worry if you actually didn't understand this one. Like, I know it. Like, if you're new to the game industry, then this vector 2 and stuff, and you don't know math of that, like if you're not into school yet, I mean, like me, when I was in 11, when I just started actually programming and I just seen the vectors, it wasn't making any sense, kind of, but with time I just got it, and then I just study it in school after 14, I think. And so yeah, now I'm really getting it, like the full math about it and what it means and its representation and all about it. Okay, and how to manipulate it. Oh great. And the input, it's really easy. You just create an action, and you just don't forget input dot, because it's action pressed function. It's inside this input objects. Okay, it's inside it, and that's why we're getting the input, and then dot is action pressed. So yeah, really great. And here, so when increasing or decreasing the motion vector, depending on if it's move up or move down or move right or move left. And just as a bonus here, we're going to add P2 support. Okay, P2 joystick support, just as a bonus. So as I have here a P2 joystick, as you hear its sound here. Okay, so I'm going to add its support here just for this basic functions. Okay, for this basic actions. So I'm going back to project settings, and here move up. If I want actually to set the joystick, I'm just going to click this plus button and joy axis, because I want to get the joy. Okay, and I'm going here, and well, I want my left stick, because there is two sticks here. There is the left stick and the right stick. Okay, and I want my left stick actually, and because it's the action called move up, then I want left stick up. Okay, and I'm selecting it, and the same thing as the others. Okay, so let's do it. Joy axis, left stick down, left stick right. You can set it actually to whatever you want. I'm just here doing it as normal as anyone would do it, but you can, like, you have the full control of all of this actually. So left stick left. Oh great, so that's the last one. Okay, great. Now let's test it. I have my P2 joystick, and let's try. Okay, so now I control it using my joystick, my P2 joystick, but for some reason left doesn't work. Okay, just the joystick left. Okay, let me see if I did a mistake or something. Move left. Oh, as you see, I selected the right stick, just as a, so let's just correct it. Left stick left, add. I think that should be good. Okay, now let's play it. And so for ending this episode, and as you see now, it's working perfectly fine for me with the joystick. I'm using now the joystick, can hear it. I'm using the joystick on the P2 controller. Okay, great. And if you don't know like what the P2 controller, I'm just going to show you an image for it, just as bonus. So yeah. So this is the P2 controller, just as I have it. So I have this one. Okay, for the PC. That's it. Alright, so here the end of the episode. Thank you for watching and see ya later. And please make sure to like the video and subscribe if you're not. And tell a friend about this series if you liked it and he's interested. Like, you know, you could be a life changer for him if he like want to make a game, and who knows if he would like the game programming and just create something really cool in the future with time. And so yeah, that's awesome. And so thank you for watching and see you later, guys. Peace.